Hey there, bookkeeping side hustle community. It's Kate, and we are here today to talk about something we're calling Website 101 for bookkeepers. This is going to be an exciting session, hopefully fairly nitty gritty. The goal of this is going to be to equip you with some resources that if you're going to be building your own website, maybe it's a goal for 2025, like I got to get my website up, that you're going to leave this session with some resources to help you successfully do that. If in the future you're like, or after this discussion, if you're like, that sounds horrible to me, I do not want to do that on my own. Our guest here, Heidi, does work for well, she works for the course that I took to get started, Bookkeeper Launch. But Keepful is a resource that they have that helps people build websites. We're going to live stream about that in the spring of 2025. We're going to dive into that. This session is not about that. There's going to be a workbook that you can download. I'll pop in the chat and it'll be in the description below that she's going to help us go through so we know how to build our own websites. And if you have questions, be sure to put them in the chat. Those of you who are already listening live, if you want to chime in with where you're listening from, that'd be great. I'm calling in from Fort Worth. And let's go ahead and bring our guest on. Let's see, Heidi, where are you calling in from? And give us the brief intro of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited today to provide some value, help people see kind of the way to make a website better or to build it in a way that can really present your professional brand. I'm actually from Georgia, out in the country. We're not near Atlanta, but that's what everybody knows when you say Georgia. So we'll just say we're from Georgia. It's a nice rainy day today.
Awesome. And you, like I said, you worked for Bookkeeper Launch. That's the course that I took. Y'all, if you want to sign up for that course, those of you who follow me, you kind of see my successes and failures, and it can all ultimately be traced back to the course Bookkeeper Launch, where Heidi was a student at one point.
I was a math teacher and signed up and started my business. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she has some highs and some lows on that side too. It's what all business is all about. So, well, I think let's dive in to this content. Website 101 for bookkeepers. I'm putting in the chat, y'all, right now, the download, and then I'm going to add your screen, Heidi, to the stage. And here is our download in the chat. I'll probably keep sharing that a couple times, but this will be helpful for y'all to have on hand while we're going through this. And I'm basically going to turn it over to Heidi, and I will field your questions in the comments, y'all, so don't be shy.
Awesome. Well, I just want to kind of lay out on the table our objectives today. I kind of mentioned it already. This is for you to determine what needs to be part of your website. So whether you have a website already or you're building one out, what are some things to make sure that you keep in mind or that you have in your website to make sure that you're capturing all the traffic that you can? Now, I do want to back up a little bit here and say that if you do not have at least one client, that is your focus. Your focus is to get a client. Focus on the breakthrough actions that get your client. But in the meantime, be thinking about how you can portray yourself professionally and your brand online, because in today's online world, people go to Facebook, YouTube, websites, they go online to see what we're all about. And so we want to make sure that your website shows them a true picture of what you are all about. It's a billboard, if you will, online for who you are and what you do and who you serve. So our objectives are to kind of just go through all of that. What should be the first impression? What are some must-haves? What about your experience? How does that affect the viewers? And your content and SEO, of course, we're not going to go into specifics. There's so many pieces that go into SEO and all of that. And I'll just touch on a few things that you can do that are easier and quick wins for you so that you can be as optimized as possible. And then, of course, call to action, CTAs. You always need a call to action, whether it's your website, your social media, whatever it is. You always want to put that call to action in there. Otherwise, people who are interested in working with you still won't know what to do. So you want to make sure that they know what to do.
That sounds great. That sounds like a lot of content we'll move through. So yeah, the first impressions. I worry about that sometimes. I'm a little bit kind of
Yeah, when we think about it like, that handshake, right? So people talk a lot about the handshake or reading a book by its cover, or we see all of these different, isms, if you will, on what it is about a first impression. But when you're talking about online, you want it to be visually appealing. And there's this area called the hero area, which is the top portion of your home page, the first thing people see when they land on your page. That's the most important part of your website because that is where everybody's going to land. So even if they bounce off as soon as they land on your site, they're still going to see that. So you want it to be memorable, you want it to be catchy, you want it to stand out, cause them to want to scroll, as well as to kind of just get a feel immediately for who you serve and what you do. So in that area, just make sure that you're calling out immediately who it is you serve and what you do. You want it to be an easy place to gather information because people are not going to want to hunt and peck in how to get a hold of you, right? So on that homepage, make a way that they can get in touch with you, or a chat widget, or a contact form, or somehow that they can get in touch with somebody, because this is a human to human business and they want to talk to somebody. So make a way where you can gather that information and get in touch with them. And then of course, nobody likes to wait. So fast load times are a big deal when it comes to your website, and it's usually an easy fix as well. And then of course, a professional logo. I did not have my logo made professionally when I first started. I went to, I think it was Canva I went to, which is actually part of that download. There is a link to Canva. If you haven't played around in Canva yet, there are logo templates. You can use that. There's also AI logo generators. Basically, just get something in place that kind of helps people remember you. And it doesn't have to be something that's like forever. You're not going to have that brand forever, but you just want something in place there where they feel like there is some sort of cohesiveness on your website. And then this also is in that download. Colors produce emotion and feeling. So when you're thinking of your website and you're trying to decide, okay, what colors do I want in my logo? What do I want it to look like? Think about, how do you want your ideal client to feel when they land on your website? So do you want them to feel at ease? Do you want them to feel like you can handle it? Do you want to feel them to feel like they're supported? How do you want them to feel? And then put your colors in there that evoke those feelings. Because like there's a lot of visual elements that go into how people feel, but colors and layout and images can really direct the traffic, if you will, into how you want them to feel. So think about that. Start with that first, and then dial back into it with your colors and your layout.
I got questions. Go back real quick. If y'all got questions, chime in. The call to action, is an email address good enough? Email me.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
And here's why. One, there's a lot of bots that are scraping sites now, and that is a surefire way of getting yourself set up for a lot of scam emails.
Okay.
Whether it's the people that are saying, hey, I need help with the bookkeepings, and you know there's a way that it's but they like to, marketing has shown that texting is making a big comeuppance in conversions. Okay. So they do like to have a contact form where you can put in name and email and phone. So you're capturing all those different kinds of information. So I always recommend do a contact form, and if you can add the reCAPTCHA checkbox, that way it kind of fields out those types of scam stuff. Now I do have my email tucked on a different page, but I wouldn't put it on your home page, just to kind of save yourself field some of those just easy wins again, where you're fielding some of those scam emails that you might get in your inbox.
Before we go on real quick, someone's saying that the download isn't working. Any feedback on that? I got it this morning, y'all. So I'll paste the chat in again, or the link that I have in again that was successful for me. It was just name, email, and it got emailed to me.
Yes, so it should be in an email, and the button also should be downloading it immediately. But if the button doesn't work, check your inbox. You should have an email right away. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you for asking that. I just, because sometimes it's like, I love to help people make it as easy as possible, and it would be easier just to put an email on there. The thought of like, how do I even figure out a button? Like I sweated that. That made me sweaty. When I built mine,
yeah,
I figured it out. So if I can figure it out, y'all, I promise y'all can figure stuff out too, because I am not an IT person. I do not love it. I hate printers hate me, like all the things. Like someone else can touch it the exact same way and it works. And I'm like, I swear I just did that. So I like
Well,
that.
you can
So,
also link your calendar too. So if you have like something like Calendly, or now Google has bookings and stuff, if you have a calendar, you can link that too, because you're still getting information from them without them just being able to directly email you. So sometimes that's easier too.
okay. Yep. Awesome. Okay, I'll let you keep going. I don't want to slow you down.
Love it. Okay, so let's talk about some essentials. Most people visit websites now on their phone, and a lot of times the phone gets overlooked. So there's two layouts for your website, and any builder that you have, it'll let you toggle between the two. And there's usually differences that you can make between the two. You can have a mobile version and a desktop version of your site. A lot of times they'll be extremely similar, but there may be some things on your mobile site that you want to hide or change the layout so it just looks a little bit more friendly and easier for the user to navigate through. But just something to think about is that mobile responsiveness. So when it looks really nice on your desktop, it might not translate well to mobile, and most of your viewers will be coming from mobile. So just keep that in mind as you're setting it up. Of course, we did talk about the call to action. You have to have a clear call to action. That could be going to your calendar. It could be, a opt-in or a contact us form or a chat widget, whatever it is. What do you want the user to do next? So they come to your site to learn about you, but what should they do next? Because if they like what they see, they might want to move forward. But if it's not clear what they should do moving forward, they'll just kind of be stalled in the water and move on to somebody who has a clearer call to action for them. So just make sure you have that there. And then, of course, that kind of ties into easy navigation. You want to be able to navigate between your pages. A lot of times you'll see on the homepage, you'll see you can navigate to the about or the contact or whatever, but then to navigate outside of one of those inner pages can sometimes be really tough. So you just want to make sure that your navigation, whether it's at the top or the bottom or in between, you want to make sure that your navigation is easy for people to get between different pages so that they can continue to learn more about you. Okay, so then speaking of the user, a lot of times we lay out a website how our brain works, but again, we want to back up and think about our user. How do we want them to feel? What do we want them to think? What kind of experience do we want them to have? And what do we want them to do next? So, starting from the user side of things can really help you in planning out your website. You want a clear, logical path throughout. So, as they're going through the homepage, what do you want them to do next? Do you want them to learn about you, learn about your services? The answer is probably yes, all the above. But how do you want them to navigate through your pages so that they can go from one to the next, and then eventually do that call to action and convert to a call or a client ultimately, obviously. You just want to make it very logical for them so that they're not confused, because a confused mind never buys. And then you want to have user friendly text and images. Um, this kind of, I guess, goes without saying, I feel like, but you want to, again, think about the user. I see a lot of websites where there's a lot of words on the page, and I have found that people pop off those pages. Like if there's a lot of words that meet them right away, they're like, oh, I don't want to read. And they just go either to another page, or it causes them to jump faster. And so you want to make sure that your text, if you need a lot of text, that you have it spaced out nicely so that their eyes flow through and it's not all in their face at once. And also some images that can either draw their view, and so they're navigating through your site with the images, or they just feel the feeling that you're trying to get from the user. So text and images can really help you get that experience you want them to have. And then, of course, intuitive design, that kind of goes back to that navigation that I was talking about, where if they've gone, a lot of times people will go to homepage, and then they'll go to about us, and then they'll go to services, and then they'll go to contact. And so when you're thinking about that on your homepage, you want to have learn more buttons that go to either about or services, because that's typically the next place people go. And then on the about and services page, you want it to lead to the contact page, and so on until you've got them to the page where it is the ultimate conversion, which is typically that contact page. So you just want to make sure that it's pushing them through how you want them to go through your site. Now, SEO was there questions? I want to stop and make sure I didn't miss anything first.
Not yet. Y'all ask them if you got them, though. I'll field them.
Perfect. Okay, so there are all sorts of SEO questions that we get, and there's so many things that can go into it. You can even do free SEO scans of your website once it's up and built, and feel free to do that. You can learn a lot about it, but know that if you did 2 different SEO scans, they would each give you a different rating because they're each weighted differently. So if you go down the SEO rabbit hole, which is fine if you do, just know that there is a ton of information out there, and there's a ton of things you can do. But here are some easy things to kind of just bump it up a little bit without having to be a tech geek, right?
Yep.
So there are title tags and meta descriptions, and these are different in each builder that you're using. So I'm not going to give you like the specifics of where to go, like in WordPress, go here, blah, 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 because it probably changes anyways. So you're going to be looking for, first of all, meta descriptions. That's the easy one to start with. There's usually a section dedicated to meta descriptions. And what this is, when you share a link and it gives you that little preview that shows like the logo and the title of the page and a little description about it. That's your meta description. So in that meta description, you want to put keywords, you want to describe what's kind of on the page, summarize almost what's on the page, and it's ideal if it's under 155 characters.
Okay.
You don't have to remember all of that. Just keep it little is the thing. But you do want to make sure it's on brand and it summarizes the page accurately, because if your description doesn't match what your website is, Google will start to flag it as you're like falsely advertising or whatever, because Google does crawl those meta descriptions. So you want to make sure that it matches and summarizes what's on your page, kind of piques people's interest so that they want to go to your page whenever someone shares that link for them. And then title tags are like headlines, and on your page, you can only have one major headline, and the other headlines need to be like headline 2 or headline 3 or even 4. So that, again, when Google's crawling your page, it can easily see what is the title of this page based on your headline. And if you have conflicting headlines of the same level, it will start to cause confusion and it'll stop indexing your page. So title tags, meta descriptions, put anywhere that you can see in your website builder. There's all sorts of little spots for keywords and things like that. Use them as much as you can, and you can kind of get to build that, all the different layers that goes into creating good SEO.
Before we move on, Ayana is asking, what is SEO? So let's even not assume that's a given. What's the 30-second answer to that? What's SEO?
So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's basically how high do you rank when someone searches for you. So there's SEO on Google. So if you go to Google and you type in, bookkeeper for chiropractors, because that's what I am, you type that in, how far do I rank on those results? And you want to try to get as high as possible so that you're on that first page of results under like the advertisements. And SEO is also on like Bing and Yahoo and all the other search engines. So if you do it for one, it'll go across the other search engines as well. But it's optimizing those search results so that you're higher in the results.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, another thing that you can do is the file names. And I know this sounds really funny, but before you upload your images to your website, make sure they have names. So if you're going to upload your headshot, for instance, don't do the little numbers and letters combination that come from your iPhone. Put an actual title like Heidi Ryder headshot. Put keywords in those file names as well. So bookkeeping services logo, or your business name, services, whatever. So make sure you're putting keywords like your name, your business name, and what you do and who you serve. Keep them short, so you don't want to put all that in one title, of course. But those file names are also pulled from Google. So like if you go and you search Heidi Ryder on Google, it will pull up images that are on like the bookkeepers.com website, my website, and it's pulling because those files are named Heidi Ryder.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that your file names also match what's in there and not just, random letters and numbers. And that's also similar with alt text. So you have the file name when you go to upload it, but you also have alt text in your website builder. So once the image is up, it'll usually have like a little field that says, what's the alt text for this? And it's really for accessibility. So if the image isn't showing, or if it gets hidden because of blockers or whatever, that alt text will pop in instead. I know we've all seen it. We've probably even seen it in like emails too, because it does the same thing. But that will help with your SEO as well. So put in there a description like image for bookkeeping services, or image for bookkeeping services for chiropractors. You're going to keyword load these alt text while you're also describing what it is or what it does. And that's another way to kind of just help along with those file names. And then we kind of talked about this with title tags and whatnot, but your headlines versus subheadlines, that's actually a big thing that I've seen on multiple SEO scans, and it's something that's really easy to do. Just as you're going through your page, make sure there's only one headline 1 level font, and a line. And it can be something like what we do. It doesn't have to be, just home or services, but it just needs to be the one that's on that level. The rest of them can be level 2 or below.
Also, I want to chime in on that last slide. I just feel like you just gave us a key. If you wanted to interview someone to build you a website, y'all, the last 5 minutes of her talking is like, that's what you should be grilling them on. Like, just like if you're going to hire someone to like paint your house, you're going to interview 3 people. Maybe you're going to consider 3 people to do this for you. People on Upwork do this. Like all your nephew does it. What if they can't answer title tags and meta description, if they don't know alt text, if, like, ask them about these things and be like, okay, you get the thumbs down. You don't actually know what you're doing. You're not going to build me a good site. So that's while you were talking, I was like, man, I want to ask because I think I'm probably going to hire someone to build a website. I built mine myself, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad that like took me to a next level. Like technologically, I can fix my own website. I can add things to it. It has been just a godsend that I can. Even though my website is not great, I'm not even going to share it with y'all because it's like 2019, I think, and I haven't really updated it. I don't use my website I don't use it. Some people might. I have other marketing strategies, so it's really just kind of like a place for people to land, like a business card. But anyway, I'm going to ask them, how do you name names? How do you use headlines and subheadlines? What do you think about meta descriptions? And like just hear them talk about it. So that's what I pulled out. Go ahead.
Yeah, good tips. And like I said, there's free SEO scans that you can do to just kind of get a feel. And usually once they've scanned it, they'll also give you tips on like, here's what you can do to improve. Here's what, gave you this rating. And that can also be something that you can go back to whoever did your website and say, hey, can we work on these things? And they might not be able to fix all of the problems, but they can at least improve it.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So let's talk about call to actions. And you're going to, in anything marketing, you're going to hear comments about your call to actions. So you want to be very specific. Again, like I mentioned before, confused minds never buy. So you want to be very specific. And now on your website, you can have multiple call to actions. So you could have sign up for my newsletter here, fill out this contact form, chat with this chat widget, schedule on my calendar. You could have multiple call to actions, and that's fine. Download my lead magnet even, but you want to make sure it's very specific. What are they getting out of it, and what do they need to do? So if it's like your calendar, right? What are they getting out of it? Free consultation, maybe a plan for how to improve their bookkeeping or improve their profit, whatever it is. You want to be specific in what you need them to do and what they're going to get out of it, because everybody, of course, cares about what they're going to get out of it.
Yes.
So you want to be specific. It's not a problem. We all want to not waste our time. It's our most valuable asset. So we might as well give them that. And then call it out from their point of view. So many times, and I see this a lot in our industry specifically, we use language on our site that makes sense to us, because like even something as simple as financial statements, that makes sense to us. We use them all the time. But when you're looking from the perspective of a business owner that already doesn't like bookkeeping and all they are is just frustrated and they want somebody to take care of it, if we're using financial statements and we're talking about reports and all this and that, it can get overwhelming for them. So we want to make sure that we are constantly putting ourselves in the shoes of the business owner. And the best way to do this is to talk to them. Talk to them, and listen to how they refer to things, how they talk about things, and use that language on your website. So call out like why they should book with you. What are you going to solve? How are you going to help them? Why should they sign up for your newsletter? Using their language, not just words that make sense to you.
And there might be clients who you need to be real technical with. Like that if you don't say balance sheet and income statement, they're going to be like, well, this person's like, just depending on your industry. Chiropractors, probably not. But if you want financial advisors, maybe. So the conversations with the ideal client. And if you're still not even like having a website yet, you probably don't have a hardcore niche. Like, did you know you were going chiropractors from like day one, Heidi?
I did, but I would not recommend it.
Okay.
I would recommend, like, even if you have a niche in your mind and you don't have any clients yet, I would say keep your website general, and you can use colors and verbiage that you know would appeal to chiropractors. So kind of more subtly, or whatever your niche is, more subtly appeal to your desired niche, but keep the actual verbiage like I serve business owners. I help small businesses, not like don't use your words super specific, but the underlying message be appealing to your ideal client.
So you're hoping to niche in, yeah. And that's just another vote for needing to be somewhat savvy enough. I mean, unless you're going to scale real fast and like completely offload all your admin, you want to be able to, once you got 5 chiropractors, then you're kind of like, okay, I got a niche. And then you want to change, you want to be able to change those. You don't want to wait a month for some Yahoo who you've lost contact with to like fix it, right? So somehow figuring out, even if you want to outsource some of it, like being able to like pay for training on how to update, record some sessions with someone, y'all, I'm telling you. And I think what she just said is a vote for, if you are building your firm yourself, like you need to be able to quickly make those changes. Because you're going to hear about a chiropractor conference that you're going to want to go to, and so you got to make that change fast, right? Because you're going to sign up and be a vendor, and you can't wait. So, anyway,
Yeah,
I like talking about all this. I do.
And like, even if you do hire someone to do your website, make sure they are responsive. That is a really big deal. And that's something that I hear a lot from people that are transferring over to us building their website. They're like, he went MIA. I don't even know. I can't get a hold of him. And that is common in website development.
I think it is. It is.
So it's sadly. So you want to make sure, yes, you can either make those changes yourself. So either they hand it back, control back to you, or you may do it yourself, or you find a team that really will be responsive and is willing to allow you to have some control, because this is your website. I know they built it, but this is your website. You need to own it. It's similar to like our bookkeeping. We do the bookkeeping for our clients, but it's still their numbers. It's still their reports. They still own it. So it's very similar here. Like, you need to be able to have control. You need to be able to get back in there without somebody ghosting you about it.
Yes.
Okay, so visually standing out, similar to kind of what we just talked about, where like be appealing to the audience that you're trying to reach and make those call to actions pop on that page. So actually, studies have shown that green is the best conversion color for buttons and orange is the second best. So if there's any colors in your branding that can be orange or green, use those for your buttons, and it will really help with those conversions. Don't ask me how. I guess it's just the standing out, and green means go. I don't know why, but there's something about it. Studies have shown green is the best conversion, orange is the second best. So take that for what you want.
Yeah.
And then obviously creating urgency, because it's interesting in Keepful. I have my website in Keepful, and in there I can track how many times somebody has visited my website. And it's incredible. Like, I've gone back to some of my prospects and I've looked, and they have gone back to my website over the course of months multiple times before they even reach out to me. And so it can be interesting to see how many times somebody comes and what pages they look at and all of this. So you do want to kind of create that urgency. And really, this comes from speaking to their pain point. Like, I understand your pain point. This is how bad I know it hurts. And so you need to book a call with me, or you need to download my newsletter because it's the best thing ever, or however, whatever your call to action is, you want to build some urgency around it by letting them know that, one, you understand what their problem is and you are the solution. And that kind of goes back to mindset, though, where you have to believe that you are the solution for that problem. And you are the solution for their problem. You just need to be very clear in laying that out on the website so they also understand you're the solution to their problem.
Do you think your website is weak on the urgency? Like, is that a shortcoming of your site, do you think? Because like if someone analyzed it, they would be like, well, of course they're coming back 5 times because you're not saying like book now, or do you?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. I am not a salesperson. And so, my site is definitely like, oh, you can do this if you want.
Yeah.
But that is, I'm sure that is why there is coming and going from my site. Yep.
At least they've fallen in love with you by the time they do call, though. So maybe there's a sense of like, well, I'm not getting people who are like not being thoughtful about what I do, So I don't know, pros and cons. We're all like, it's a living, breathing thing. That's the thing. Like, whatever you build today is not going to be the same if you are going to be a successful bookkeeper for the long haul. Like, this is just part of the entrepreneurial process. So
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because published is way better than perfect. And
yes.
anybody that you talk to will say that because if you keep working, this is what I did. I was determined that I had to have a website before I ever got my first client, before I could even start promoting myself.
Oh
And
gosh.
I spent so much time working on it. And I was like, it's got to be perfect and it's got to have this and it's got to do that. Never should have done that. I just needed to get out there, publish the site that I had and run with it and come back and edit it and tweak it because I still like even when I got it like as good as I could, I still came back a year later, tweaked it, changed it, revamped it. Like
Hmm.
it's not a just like you said, it's a living breathing thing that you can continue to come and tweak and edit and change around and add to and take away. But you want it to ultimately you want it to be an extension of who you are as a company, who you are as a brand. And so whether you want it to be super urgent or you want it to be a little bit more laid back, you want to make sure it reflects who you are and what they're going to be working with when they work with you.
Got it. Yep. All right. I'll keep. Let's keep going.
Okay. I think we've hit the colors
Yep. Yep.
on the
Yep.
head already, so we're just gonna kind of go
They're
along.
changeable. You can change your colors.
Yep.
Perfect. Nope. Nope. No perfection.
Yep. And you can even change your color, like your actual brand colors too. You can change the colors on your website, but you can also change your brand colors as you go along without, without the world ending.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay, some common pitfalls. I think I kind of mentioned this already. The biggest one I see is the language. A lot of times people will use language that makes sense to them. I did the same thing, makes sense to me, but it just kind of fell flat on my messaging. So, how I would say to test it is to do in-person stuff with business owners. So whether it's in-person networking, which I highly recommend, by the way, or it's talking to your friends that are business owners, whatever you can do, get in person in front of business owners and talk to them. You will see on their face if it makes sense or not. And that is the best feedback you can get. So use your messaging that's on your website, like what you do, who you serve, and see how they respond. And you'll see in their face, like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, this is cool. I love this. This is great. Or you're going to see, what is that
Yeah.
again? And that's like that latter message was the one I kept getting when I got in person and I started sharing what it was about my messaging, and it just didn't make sense to them. And so I continued to rework it and listening to what they say, and you just continue to rework it, and you start to develop the language that is your ideal clients, and it'll make a whole lot more sense. Another thing that I see is people just they don't share what you want them to do next. And I know I've preached on this the whole time, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but just make sure that you are being very clear. Like, I come to your website, I'm your ideal client, I love what I'm seeing. What next? What can I do? What am I supposed to do next?
And that's
And
going
it
to
needs to be
change
clear.
too. Like right now, mine is book a 15-minute discovery call, and I think I kind of want to change that, but I've been doing this for a little bit, so but that was what it was, and it has succeeded. They called. It made them reach out to me, and I had a Zoom thing that like when they booked it on Calendly, we had a Zoom link. It showed up on my calendar, showed up on theirs, and that's probably 90% of any button on my website is just that. And I might when if I do a revamp, I'm sure there'll be a lot more thought. But it worked for many years, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. And mine still is that. I had it like my free consultation calendar was even longer than that. And I found people didn't really want to go that whole time. And so then I shortened it to the 15 minutes like you have. So yeah, it's a constant changing. Like you're just finding what works for you, what works for your systems, what you want to do. We have people even that are now on the other side where they're trying to filter out leads because they just have too many.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have like an initial
A
questionnaire
form,
and
yeah.
the appointment gets canceled or confirmed based on how they filled out that form because they can use their form to identify who they really want to work with. That's the dream situation.
Yeah, that's the dream. And y'all, let me plug about 2 months ago, there's a Roast My Intake form live stream we did with Kelly Parks, where she roasted mine and I think 6 others of y'all community members who were brave and told us how we could help improve our forms. My form is not on my website, it's after the booking, but there's lots of places, lots of flows you can use. But go watch that Roast My Intake form as well, y'all listening. So, all right, well,
Yeah,
any other pitfalls?
I think those are the big ones. There's little pieces and things, but nothing that moves the needle quite like those two major ones right there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I guess we just kind of, I know we've taken some questions throughout, but if there's any other questions, I'd love to answer those. And then that's
I
also
have
how you can get in touch with me.
Yeah, I have some more. Yeah, and so help@keepful.com is how to get in touch with Heidi. She is a real firm owner, and also helps the bookkeeper launch team, the Keepful team, with this other line of work that they do, which is help bookkeepers build websites. We will be getting more information about Keepful specifically. It's kind of like a package deal, you know. That's going to be a great solution for some. Some people are going to want, to really DIY it from the beginning. So we'll do that in the spring of 2025. But yeah, reach out to Heidi if you have any questions. If you didn't get, if the download still wasn't working for folks, y'all can reach out to me or Heidi. And Heidi, you're in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook group, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yep.
we can tag Heidi on that. I'd love to keep these conversations going just about, maybe we can do like a website review post where everyone, post your website and then go review 3 others and kind of get some conversation going. That would be fun. So yeah, I got some questions here, but I do want to say thanks. And y'all, the links that we're going to need, referral links for Keepful, referral links for Bookkeeper Launch, if y'all, as a way to say thanks to me, those will be down below as well. Question from Relaxed Club, whoever that is. If we have a digital product to sell, how can we add it?
If your website builder allows for a shop, this could be through like WooCommerce. Keepful itself has a shop. Basically, you want to set up a e-commerce shop for that if you want to sell multiple products. And basically, that will be just like you'll have a shop link in your navigation. You'll have a cart that they can add to it. If it's just a one-off and you want to use it more like a lead magnet type of thing, where you're capturing name, email, phone, some information about your leads, then I would say set it up as a landing page, which now this is getting a little technical, but you can put it on a subdomain. So it can be something like shop.mydomain.com. And that way it's at a level with your website, but it's not distracting from your website. And you can link it as buttons, as some of those call to actions on your website as well. So there's 2 different ways you can do it.
I have another one. I'll plug another video. Josh Stanley did a teaching session for us on accountable plans, y'all. And he has a course that allows accounting and bookkeeping pros to white label his accountable plan and sell it. And I have mine on Gumroad, which is it's like a digital fulfiller. And they take a pretty penny. They take like, I think it might be 10%. But I have an accountable plan template on my website. I don't even know what I have it priced at. I don't sell a lot because I don't tell anybody about it. But in my mind, I kind of was. But I have sold some. I've sold more than the course that Josh taught us about, which that's another video. If y'all want that, let me know. The Gumroad is behind the button. So it's like I have a blog about the accountable plan. If someone asks me about it, I share that page, and it's like, if you want an easy to use template, right here. And they click on that, and then it redirects them to my Gumroad account, Gumroad, y'all, where then they pay the $49 or whatever I priced it at, and they get the download. And I don't talk to them at all. Like, they are not, for the way I'm doing it with, I have a lot of YouTube videos for my FreshBooks channel. I interact with a lot of strangers. So my thought was like, people might, I might want to make a video about it and let people buy it without having to, like, they're not actual clients yet. So I don't know if you have resources like that. Whoever asked that, Relaxed Club. That's a great thing. That's like passive income. If you've got stuff to sell, figure out Gumroad. Another one's called Lemon Squeezy, but they denied me, which I'm really bitter about. I shouldn't have even said their name. And I'm like, I am not a mobster. Why do you think my payment processing is? I don't know. But they didn't. They thought I was.
Life gave you lemons in that sense.
Yeah, Lemon Squeezy was another place that I thought they had cheaper processing. But those are 2 things. I think some people put stuff on Etsy too, y'all.
Yeah,
you can put digital resources on Etsy.
There's a lot of platforms, and like I said, Keepful has one of them too, similar to what you're talking about with Gumroad, where it's it's the powerhouse behind it. But yeah, there's a lot out there.
Yeah. All right. Another question from Kristen is, with the color green, does any shade of green work?
That's what I've heard. I've heard it's just green. Okay. I have found that darker colors show up better. So if you do like a really, really pale green, it might not show up very well. So if you do darker colors, that's usually, how dark mode is a thing now where a lot of people actually use it. Dark just seems to be a little bit more appealing to people.
Okay. Safe Books is chiming in that she has some products on a platform called Kit. Kit is how she's spelling that, and the payments are processed through Stripe. I think almost all these people have the processing through Stripe, y'all. So
Yeah.
thanks for that tip, though, Kit. Safe Books about Kit. These are a dime a dozen. Don't be perfect. Pick one. Put your stuff up there. This is not going to make you rich. You're going to get help. You're going to provide helpful stuff, and it's going to be a little bit of. I mean, unless you go hardcore about being like the accounting digital product person, but you're probably not. So just ship. Okay, pick a platform and go with it.
Yep. And then make sure you have a follow-up call to action. So if somebody downloads your product,
Yes.
make sure that call to action is then going to convert them into a client. If that's what you're ultimately, if your moneymaker is a client, which it usually is, make sure you're directing them in that way after they've downloaded.
Right. Testimonials. How do you handle testimonials on websites?
A lot of websites have widgets that you can put in that pull directly from your Google My Business. So that can pull in reviews. A lot of times you can ask for video testimonials, and then websites will allow you, the builders will allow you to put video elements
Ooh.
in your website. So you can have your video testimonials on the website as well. And then same thing if it's a text-based that's not Google review, you can just copy and paste that into your website, and you can design it out to look fancy or whatever. But as long as it's there where people can consume it, put it near your call to actions, because that's where people are making decisions. So if they see, here's my case studies, or here's the people that say this person is great and you should do it, put it near the call to action so they immediately take that action.
I like that. Okay, I don't have that at all on mine. I have
Yeah,
like a
it's a
separate
little
whole page.
nerve-wracking to ask for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a whole nother video, how to get testimonials, right? We can do that we can do that summer 2025. How do you get testimonials from clients? There's lots of resources on that, but even just one, like, yeah, so I like the idea of like I don't have a widget. I just have like a testimonials page, and it's real ugly looking. There's way better ways of doing it where it kind of like scrolls across, or like it shows just like the top few lines, and then if people really want to read it, which they probably, maybe they don't, like they just like, okay, she's got several reviews. That's kind of what I care about. I love the idea of right next to the call to action. I hadn't thought about that. Safe Books
And
is
you can sprinkle them too, so it
Yeah.
says learn more, and then there's your page with more.
Yeah. Safe Books is asking, what's your opinion of Squarespace websites?
So
You can
it's
be
kind
honest.
of, yeah, it's kind of like, you know, the age-old argument of Dodge versus Chevy versus Ford. You know, in the end of the day, you get in the vehicle and you drive to where you're going, right? Hopefully. That's what you're trying to do on a website. So whatever you need to do to get up and running and not be able to worry about it and just focus on the breakthrough actions, roll with it. Now, Squarespace itself, I have some personal feelings about upsells and speed of loading and like that kind of thing. But it works great for some people. Same thing for Wix. It works great for some people. It doesn't work for others. So I would say pick one, roll with it. And if you really don't like it, leave it for now so you can focus on the breakthrough and revamp it later when you have some time. The last thing I want you to do is be so caught up in your website like I was that it pulls you away from getting those clients, because that's what really matters.
So is Keepful a direct competitor to Squarespace? Is that how we should think of Keepful?
Sort of. It does. I hate to say direct competitor because there's a lot of things Keepful does that Squarespace does not do.
Okay.
Squarespace does website. Keepful does everything marketing related. So a piece of it is website.
Okay, I see. It's like bookkeeping specific, like it's like tailored
Yes.
for our industry as well. So
Yes.
it's the difference between like an Asana versus like a Financial Sense or a Carbon or a
Yes.
so yes, Asana can manage your tasks and practice, but it can also manage auto shops practice. I mean, anything else versus these other bespoke apps that are just for our industry, which is going to come with more bells or whistles bells and whistles that we need. Okay, y'all, I think I've been through all the questions that people have asked. This has been amazing. This has been so good. I'll say again, if someone skips to the end, her resource, let's just talk about that. So the download is called a Mad Lib. That just means, she said, it was like it's a fun way of saying worksheet, because you're going to fill it out. And it's all about, like, I'm looking at it right now, y'all, brand direction. So you're going to like kind of just journal on a page of what you want your client to feel, And then what I think is really important, you really need to be writing your website before you're building your website. You got to have the tagline already written. Don't put your fingers on the keyboard inside your Squarespace without knowing your tagline. That's going to cause you to like shut the computer. Like, you're going to be like, nope, can't do it. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So build your website on paper first. And I love that picture that you had of the like the pages and the flow. Like, that's like whiteboard session is really how this is. Okay, about is going to go to contact, and you can see that connection. So that's why this piece of paper product, y'all, is so important. You're going to get that hero. What's the hero going to say? What are your benefits? What are your pain points? And all these, like write your bio in the Google Doc before you open the website builder. Okay. And she's got
Oh,
some
and
relevant
speaking of bio,
resources. Oh yeah.
there is a resource in there because that's usually where everybody gets hung up. I can write about anything and anybody, but except myself. So if that is you and you have a hard time with your bio, I did create a prompt in there that you can stick into Chat GPT. And depending on how well Chat GPT knows you, it can even add its own personal flair to it for you. But that prompt should be pretty good, at least getting you something started. So then you can kind of tweak your bio after that.
Yeah, I love. So there's a resource page in the download, y'all, that we're not even getting to. We're gonna have to do another session, Heidi. This is amazing. Like headshots. So AI headshots where you can just put a picture and it's gonna actually make you look kind of okay. These are all things you're gonna have to have. So the and this prompt for writing your bio is great. All things to make it easy. So download that. We can't go through them all because I wanted to finish at 45 and we're at 46.
I'm
So we're
sorry.
no, it's my I'm the talker too. Heidi, thank you. People will reach out to you, tag you in the Facebook group, and I look forward to. We're just going to make it happen. We're going to do like a website review, maybe a couple, because I know some people aren't going to. We can do some now, but then some people are going to probably do this as a goal for the new year. While all the tax people are sweating, us bookkeepers, we're going to be like having a good spring, getting work done on our business. So,
I love it.
so, all right, people are saying thanks. I really appreciate it. We will sign off for now. See y'all in the Facebook group. Make sure that you are in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook group. Make sure you read my newsletter on Substack. That's the best way to stay in touch with me. And adios for now. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.